This video was sponsored by Shopify. This is the Galaxy Note 10 and I really like this device. What I don't like about it is the fact that the screen curves around the edges. I don't like that. And because curved screens appear to be the next big trend for Android flagships going forward, I wanted to make a video just to remind everyone why they are a terrible idea. And because I'm in a bit of a mood to rant, let's actually turn this into a series. So welcome to episode 1 of Thanks, I Hate It. I hate curved screens. They are dumb, there is nothing practical about them, apart from making the screen appear 0.001mm larger, and what you get in exchange is a phone that is worse in so many ways. Let's start with the eternal wisdom of YouTube's most famous phone destroyer.
Glass is glass, and glass breaks.
Sorry, could you maybe repeat that?
Glass is glass, and glass breaks.
Okay, well thanks Zach, I think that makes it pretty clear then. And it means that extending that fragile glass over the edge of the device, which is where you drop it or bounce it against things, is maybe not a good idea. It makes your phone significantly more prone to cracking and scratching. Now, I already hear some of you saying that, I'm just complaining about nothing because you can just put cases on phones. And I hear you. I put a bumper on my Note 10 like I do with almost all devices, but I strongly disagree with this argument. First, there's no way that a phone should be designed in a way that it can only meaningfully be used with an extra accessory on top of it. That is not sensible product design. And even if they were, while some of the phones that have smaller curves, like the Note 10 for example, you can put a somewhat reasonable case or bumper on, that'll be impossible for a lot of the newer phones that are coming out soon. Take phones like the Mate 30 Pro or the Vivo Nex 3 for example. Their screens are curved so far back at almost 90 degrees that cases leave the entire sides of both of these phones completely exposed. How dumb is that? I wouldn't want to let a metal frame on my device exposed, let alone this curved, fragile glass, because
glass is glass, and glass breaks.
Whoa, yeah, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I sell ungrips which are designed to keep you from dropping your phone in the first place, so for me, it's great if cases stop working, because everybody should buy more ungrips anyway, but I still find this situation dumb. Now, another common argument that I keep hearing is that this is innovation and innovation is good and we just have to let companies do their thing. And I understand where that argument is coming from, but I don't actually think this is real innovation. We've had them on Samsung phones since the Note 4 in 2014. That was 5 years ago. Neither curved OLED screens nor curved glass are particularly hard to do and they don't really require any innovation in 2019. The reason we moved away from them is because both Samsung and users thankfully realized that too much of a curve just isn't practical, causing Samsung to adopt smaller curves like those on the Note 10. So no, this isn't somehow driving the industry forward, unless you think having to double tap to adjust the volume because you didn't have space for volume buttons is somehow great innovation. Now, the companies that have brought these devices to market have also argued that extending the touchscreen to the edge of the device also allows for new innovative features, like edge gestures or shoulder buttons while gaming for example, or phones reacting to squeezing pressure in the case of Vivo. But I don't really get that either. The frames of our devices, the actual metal frames, it's quite easy to make those capacitive and touch sensitive. So if edge features or touch sensitive edges are what you desire, you don't really need to curve the glass and the fragile display over the device. The Asus ROG phone and multiple HTC phones have had touch-sensitive and squeezable phone frames for years, which, by the way, apparently came from the exact same supplier that also made Vivo's curved screens squeezable as well. So I just don't get it. And not only do these curved screens not solve any existing usability problems, they actually create new ones. Suddenly, big parts of your screen need to be sort of passive. First, they have to reject accidental touches, which by the way hasn't worked well on any curved screen phone I've tried, and is only going to get more problematic as Android is prioritizing edge swiping gestures for basic navigations like the back button. Increased edge gestures and increased palm rejection zones will only create more conflicts in the future, not fewer ones in my opinion. And second, if the screen is curved enough, suddenly UI elements on the side start flowing off the screen, and the padding, or the inactive dead space on the side of apps, has to be increased. Huawei actually has an option so you can turn off the sides of the screen on an app-by-app basis to fix this, meaning that this is an actual issue with some apps, and that just seems like the worst self-inflicted wound I've seen in a while. Also, famous speaker Ice Universe is predicting that this trend isn't going to stop and that phone makers are going to continue to push curves further and further in the future. Meaning that we'll see different kinds of devices with different amounts of dead space on the side of the display that the app makers, for example, will have to adopt their apps to. Just imagine that you make an app, it looks fine on one screen, and on another, the same elements just kind of float off the screen. Sounds terrible. And my last complaint is that while curved screens look impressive in commercials or on display in a shop, they sometimes look worse when you actually use them, like say when you watch a video or play a game. Having content be distorted at the top and the bottom, as well as having extra reflections along the edges, just makes things a little less immersive and not more, in my opinion. And so with this many downsides, you might wonder why this 5-year-old technology is suddenly seeing such a big revival. And I can really only see two main reasons. One, of course, phone makers would very much like everyone to have 1,000 euro phones that are super fragile, can barely be protected by cases and screen protectors, and are essentially completely unrepairable by their users. And two, because lately they also seem to be just a little too obsessed with screen-to-body ratios. And there isn't much bezel left to get rid of on most smartphones anyway, so in trying to outdo each other, they have decided that all that's left to do is to curve those screens. And I get it, I like competition, I like small bezels. I mean, I have to admit I bought the Note 10 at least in part because I thought it was a very pretty device, but at some point, making devices more and more pretty at the expense of sacrificing usability and durability is not really innovation or progress, it's actual madness. Now, there is, of course, one more device that I have to talk about when it comes to this topic. There's no way around it, and that is the ludicrous Xiaomi Mi Mix Alpha. And while I kind of give this one a free pass because at least it's novel, plus it's obviously more of a concept device than a mainstream phone, and I think manufacturers should be given a free pass to play with crazy things, I'm afraid of what it signifies. Typically, concept devices don't make it to mainstream consumers as they are, obviously. But they do represent an extreme version of what the manufacturer thinks the future should be like and exist to foreshadow big market trends. And if these screens with more and more crazy curvatures are indeed what all of these manufacturers are pushing for, then I think us as consumers, I think we'll all be worse off for it. Now, whatever device you end up buying, remember to put a TechAltar on-grip on it. All of my merchandise is brought to you by Shopify, whose platform makes it incredibly easy to run an online business. Building a complete webshop takes less than a day. Managing products and inventory is as easy as filling out a few forms, uploading images. Their system lets you customize everything about your products, including names, sizes, how they appear in search, as well as creating online marketing campaigns for them. Setting up payment methods is easy, and they have 24/7 customer support if you ever get stuck. I've been using Shopify since I launched my merch store, and using my link in the description, you can try them out for free as well for 14 days. Give them a try, and I'll see you in the next video.